Hello and welcome to part 27 of Life is Your Journey. Part 27 is Energy Entity. My name is Bhavna Mistry and I am the Heart-Centered Mentor. So thank you for joining me today on part 27 of Life is Your Journey about Energy Entity. What do I mean by energy entity? So in life we have got various teachings, various cultures teach things in different ways, and often an entity is a negative energy which is affecting your life in a negative way. This entity is taking energy from you and depleting you of energy, so it blocks you from going forwards. So to understand what I mean by entity is, this energy has taken almost a life form of its own within your own energy body, and it feels like a separate entity within you. If you feel like something's invaded your body that shouldn't be there, and there are lots of different ways of looking at it from different cultures, different backgrounds. The way I look at entities is it's an energy that's associated with an emotional attachment. Emotional attachments create entities because it's something that you nurture by missing it, by wishing it was there. And a really good example of this is dealing with miscarriages. So for females, often when they've had a miscarriage or they've lost a child for whatever form within themselves, part of the energy stays with them, because there's a whole mourning process that goes with it. There's a whole process of not being able to let it go, not being able to address your emotions around it effectively to the point that you can allow it freedom to let it go. So over the years, often when I've come across this, it's been people who have dealt with it years later in their life, not usually straight away. And what happens is that it forms a kind of identity, and it doesn't want to go either because it's attached to you. So the entity is attached to you. This energy, it's identified as that emotional attachment. And you're attached to it too. You don't want to let it go. And that's the difference of energy when it's seen as an entity. Now, though for a long time it might have been a nurturing process for you to remember and go through a mourning process, the more you don't deal with the emotions, that the inner emotions, how it's affected you, the more it takes on an effect in your life. There's always that something that's missing. There's always that something that you can't let go of. There's always that something that you feel really, really like a big loss about. And it's only when you let that energy go that you feel more whole within yourself, because you've allowed freedom to the energy that was associated with that emotional attachment. And this can happen with men too, so it doesn't have to just be the example I've given, because I've dealt with men with entities as well, and it's again related to an emotional attachment that they have been unwilling to let go of, yet they know it should not be a part of them. So if you've got this sense of feeling that there's something inside you that shouldn't be part of you and it seems to have a life of its own, it's most likely some form of energetic entity. And you will feel you don't want to let it go on one hand. You'll feel attached to it to a high level, but at the same time it's something you know you need to let go of because it is an emotional attachment. And that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with entities. You're dealing with the emotions and how the emotions are affecting you. And the purpose of understanding entities is to understand how different forms of energy affect you in life in different ways. We all have entities of some degree. Some will be entities almost like little creature-like, like crab-like, like insect-like sometimes, and they're very easy to let go of when you do blockage removal. When you know, a lot of this stuff, you can let go of them when you do a lot of energy healing stuff. They're not entities in the same way. They're not attached to you in the same way. Whereas entities are attached to you and harder to let go of. So if you feel like you've got an entity, or you think you might have an entity, or you know somebody might have an entity, and you want to explore it before the further, you know, look it up, read about it, get in touch with me. We could always have a chat about it, but explore it, because what it's doing to you is it's blocking you from fully living your life now, because you're still holding on to those emotions. So it's so basically it's an emotional attachment. Entities always are related to some kind of deep-seated emotional attachment of something that meant a lot to you at some point in your life. And that's what I want you to understand mostly from this video, is that an entity is nothing more than an energy which is taking a life form of its own, and it's like almost living like a separate entity within you, and all we need to do is release it to the light, release it with love, because it's usually something that you've got an emotional attachment to. I hope this has made sense to you about entities, and do not fear them. They're very easy to work with once you work with them in a positive light. And yeah, do get in touch if you want more information, but it's the end of this video, because each situation is different and you have to talk about it in that situation. Thank you for listening to this video. My name is Bhavna Mistry. I am the heart-centered mentor, bringing to you Life is Your Journey Part 27, which has been about energy entity. And I'll soon do the next video, so see you for the next video. I think I'll talk a bit more about language in the next one. Okay, see you in the next video. Thank you for listening.